It's my journey, it's your journey. You need my help and I need yours. 'Cause we are.
How Saint Josemaria Escriva teaches us to sanctify our daily work. Every morning as the sun rises and we begin another round of routines, commuting to work, preparing meals, caring for our families, or showing up for meetings, we can feel the weight of the ordinary pressing in. Too often we wonder, does any of this truly matter to God? Is there room in the heart of our Catholic faith for the daily grind? Or is sanctity reserved for the precious few moments we find in church or prayer? At Journeys of Faith, we believe in a hope-filled answer. Your everyday life is holy ground. And nowhere is this truth more beautifully illuminated than in the teachings of Saint Josemaria Escriva. Known as the Saint of the Ordinary, Saint Josemaria's message is radically simple, yet deeply challenging. Each task, no matter how mundane, can be offered to God and transformed into a way to love Him more. In this article, we invite you to walk with us as we draw inspiration from Saint Josemaria. We'll explore how his example and wisdom can reshape the way we see our daily work, not as a distraction from holiness, but as a powerful means to grow in intimacy with Christ. Whether you're struggling to see God in your ordinary hours, longing for practical hope amid your busyness, or searching for a Catholic spirituality you can live out right now, these reflections are for you. Let's discover together how Saint Josemaria encourages us, through the gentle guidance of grace, to sanctify every moment, from the simple to the significant, and to encounter Jesus right where we are. What does it mean to sanctify your daily work? To sanctify our daily work is to make it holy, not by changing the nature of the tasks themselves, but by transforming the intention with which we carry them out. Saint Josemaria Escriva, inspired by deep faith in God's presence in all things, reminds us that our most ordinary routines and responsibilities can become the place of our encounter with Christ. Rather than separating our spiritual lives from our work, sanctification invites us to blend them. It means beginning each task, whether it's answering emails, folding laundry, attending meetings, or caring for a loved one, with a prayerful heart and a desire to offer it to God. We can whisper, "For you, Jesus," as we start a project or persevere through something tedious or challenging. This transforms what might feel insignificant into an offering, a living prayer that draws us closer to Christ amid the busyness. Saint Josemaria was clear that God doesn't wait for us in grand, dramatic gestures. He waits for us in the present moment, in the middle of what seems mundane. By striving for excellence, integrity, and love in each little duty, we reflect the dignity of being God's children. Sweeping floors, filling out forms, managing payroll, or teaching a classroom. These are not distractions from holiness, but new opportunities to encounter Jesus and bring His light to those around us. Sanctifying work doesn't mean our days become flawless or effortless. We'll still make mistakes and face frustrations, but offering everything, successes and failures, deepens our trust in God's mercy. We slowly discover that our work, transformed by intention and grace, becomes both an act of service and a form of prayer. This is the daily sanctification Saint Josemaria speaks of, turning the workplace, the home, and all the hidden corners of our lives into places where God's presence can shine. Take the next step. Bring holiness into your everyday life. Saint Josemaria Escriva's message isn't just theory. It's a daily invitation to draw closer to Jesus in the midst of your real, imperfect, and busy life. At Journeys of Faith, we want to help you live out this invitation in ways that are tangible, beautiful, and rooted in Catholic tradition. Ready to make your daily work a place of encounter with God? Here's how you can begin. Explore our Catholic resources. Dive into reflections, guides, and devotionals designed to deepen your prayer life and make your faith practical at home or work. Find inspiration in saintly examples. Discover stories of the saints, like Saint Josemaria, who turned ordinary routines into extraordinary encounters with Christ. Bring beauty into your daily routine. Shop our lovingly curated Catholic gifts and sacramentals to surround yourself with daily reminders of God's presence and love. Stay encouraged on your faith journey. Subscribe to our email list for ongoing inspiration, personal stories, and simple practices to help you keep moving forward. One step at a time. Share your journey. Connect with our community and help others rediscover hope, purpose, and joy in Christ. Shop for St. Josemaria Escriva items in our shop. Let Journeys of Faith be your companion as you seek holiness in the ordinary. And become a bold witness to Jesus in the world. Who was St. Josemaria Escriva, and why his teaching matters today? St. Josemaria Escriva was born in Spain in 1902 into the heart of a devout Catholic family and came of age amid a society being reshaped by rapid change and uncertainty. Ordained a priest in 1925, he would go on to found Opus Dei, a movement dedicated to a revolutionary idea. That ordinary life, every task, every job, every joy and struggle, could be holy ground if offered to God with love. What set St. Josemaria apart was his fearless conviction that sanctity wasn't reserved for a chosen few living in monasteries or mission fields. Holiness, he insisted, belonged to daily life, to the mother at the kitchen table, the teacher at her desk, the nurse stirring the night shift, the student in a crowded classroom. God is calling you to serve him in and from the ordinary, material, and secular activities of human life, he wrote. Through small acts done with great love, St. Josemaria saw a path to heaven, one open to anyone who said yes to Jesus in their everyday surroundings. Why does his message matter now, decades after his death in 1975? In a restless and distracted world that often divides faith from ordinary experience, St. Josemaria's teaching is a reminder of hope and purpose. He invites us to discover Christ's presence in the noise and rush, to turn our work into prayer, and to trust that even our struggles can become offering. With real warmth and insistence, he lifts the burden of perfectionism and urges us to simply begin, again and again, with trust in God's mercy. His spirituality is not abstract. It's a call to action for anyone longing to find meaning and grace amid the routine, the repetitive, and the real. Through his example and writings, we remember that our daily work, entrusted to God, can be transformed into a beautiful, living sacrifice, an authentic way to encounter Christ and bring his love to the world, the universal call to holiness in ordinary life. When St. Josemaria Escriva spoke of holiness, he did not set it apart for mystics or religious alone. Instead, he joyfully proclaimed that sainthood is not reserved for a few extraordinary souls, but is an invitation extended to everyone, right in the midst of daily life. Whether you are a teacher, nurse, parish volunteer, parent, or student, the Lord calls you to draw close to him precisely through the tasks that fill your day. St. Josemaria's message pulses with hope for those who have ever wondered if laundry, emails, cooking dinner, or yet another work meeting could possibly have any spiritual value. There is something holy, something divine, hidden in the most ordinary situations, and it is up to each of you to discover it, he wrote. We encounter Jesus not just in prayer, but as we press on through commutes, deadlines, or the countless small duties that can seem so unremarkable. In Escriva's vision, our work, however humble, becomes an altar upon which we can offer our love and effort to God. The key is not the kind of work, but the heart with which we do it. An honest effort, a cheerful smile, a task done well out of love, these become our daily liturgy. Holiness seeps into our schedules, conversations, and to-do lists. This vision is deeply evangelical. In a world tempted to divide the sacred from the secular, Saint Josemaria reminds us that the Lord yearns for all of us, right here, right now. Our everyday routines, no matter how repetitive or hidden, are sacred ground. If we invite the Holy Spirit in, they become the very place where Christ shapes us, strengthens us, and sends us back out as witnesses of his love, turning work into prayer, the heart of Saint Josemaria's message. Saint Josemaria Escriva's spirituality is both disarmingly simple and deeply transformative. Sanctify your work. Sanctify yourself in your work. Sanctify others through your work. For him, the ordinary desk, kitchen, workbench, or changing table wasn't just a place of toil. It was holy ground. Every task, no matter how small or unseen, could become an act of love and worship if offered to God with a sincere heart. This conviction didn't come from theory, but from Josemaria's lived experience. He grew up in a family that knew both comfort and hardship. Later, as a priest and spiritual guide, he saw the struggles and yearnings of ordinary people. Accountants, students, builders, mothers, teachers. He saw how easy it was to split life in two: Sunday for God, the rest for real life, and he understood the hidden ache of longing for something more, even in the routine or the mundane. Saint Josemaria teaches us that work, when united to Christ, becomes more than a means to earn money or accomplish to-do lists. It's transformed into a prayer, an offering that pleases God. That spreadsheet, the honest day's labor, the patient caregiving, the creative endeavor, each can be a living sacrifice if we start the day with, "Lord, I do this for you." Saint Josemaria wrote, "There is something holy, something divine, hidden in the most ordinary situations, and it is up to each of you to discover it." This is profound hope for everyone who's ever felt invisible or discouraged in their efforts. The world may not notice the sacrifice in your daily work, but God does. By embracing this mindset, our actions take on new purpose. Folding laundry can be an act of love. Sweeping the floor can be a prayer for our family. Answering email can become a way to serve Christ in others. In sharing and sanctifying our work, we invite Christ into every corner of our day, letting him turn each ordinary moment into a step closer to heaven. Finding God in the middle of your daily responsibilities. It's easy to associate holiness with grand gestures, missionary journeys, martyrdom, or hours of silent adoration before the Blessed Sacrament. But Saint Josemaria Escriva, in his quiet, revolutionary way, turned our gaze to the countless moments most of us spend, unlocking the office door each morning, folding laundry, answering emails, navigating the everyday demands that can feel tedious or even overwhelming. Here lies one of Saint Josemaria's most encouraging invitations. He teaches us that God waits for us not just in the extraordinary, but right in the heart of the ordinary. With each task, checking on a coworker, finishing a project with excellence, making breakfast for our family, he challenges us to infuse our work with intention and love. These moments, no matter how small, become opportunities for sanctification when we offer them to Jesus. Imagine, even amid stress or boredom, pausing to whisper, "Lord, I do this for you." This simple act transforms our perspective. The spreadsheet, the errand, the daily commute, each is a meeting place with Christ, a new brushstroke in the masterpiece of our lives. Saint Josemaria loved to remind people that nothing is wasted in God's economy. Our faithfulness in little things is like a hidden wellspring, quietly nourishing the world around us. This way of living doesn't ignore struggle or monotony. Instead, it names them as the very places where God's grace longs to break in. When we bring our worries, frustrations, and fatigue into prayer, we allow Christ to sanctify not just what we do, but who we are becoming. Suddenly, every responsibility is a chance to practice trust, generosity, and perseverance. The next time the day's demands pile up, remember Saint Josemaria's wisdom. All of it. Yes, even the most mundane chores can become a path to holiness. In the flurry of daily activity, God is calling us deeper, inviting us to find him precisely where we are. The role of intention. Working for God, not just results. Saint Josemaria Escriva invites us to consider a radical reimagining of our daily work. For the modern Catholic, it's tempting to measure success in numbers, tasks completed, emails sent, goals achieved. But Saint Josemaria challenges us to look deeper. What if the true value of our labor lies not in its visible results, but in the love and intention we pour into each moment? He taught that our daily effort, no matter how hidden or humble, can be a pleasing offering to God. It's not about being seen or collecting trophies. It's about letting our hearts be caught up in the presence of Christ, even while sorting laundry, fixing spreadsheets, or perhaps preparing dinner. You should not let your work become a routine, he writes in The Way. Your work will be holy if you make it so, aided by grace. This vision is remarkably hopeful. It means there's no division between the sacred and the secular. Every honest job can become a prayer when it's united to Christ's own offering. In moments of frustration or monotony, we're reminded that it's our willingness to serve and to surrender, our yes to God in the ordinary, that makes our efforts truly fruitful. What St. Josemaria offers is not another productivity hack, but a call to sanctify intention itself. We're invited to ask, am I working just for a paycheck or praise, or out of love for God and neighbor? Every spreadsheet, every diaper changed, every patient listened to with compassion, is sanctified when we offer it with a heart full of faith. In this way, our daily work, even the smallest task, becomes a living encounter with Christ, sanctifying work through excellence and diligence. Saint Josemaria Escriva was convinced that holiness isn't reserved for those cloistered behind monastery walls. It erupts into the ordinary moments of every day, especially through the labor of our hands and hearts. He didn't just see work as a duty or a means to an end, but as a path by which we encounter Christ and reveal him to the world. Sanctify your work, he would say. Sanctify yourself in your work and sanctify others through your work. With that threefold summons, Saint Josemaria challenged Catholics to be right where we are, salt and light. How do we actually do this? It begins with a little phrase that can transform everything. Offered for you, Lord. Waking up early to care for a child, reporting to a demanding job, cooking for the family, or tackling monotonous tasks. Each becomes a living prayer when given to God with love and intention. Saint Josemaria teaches us that mediocrity has no place in the Christian's life of work. If Jesus invites us to follow him in all things, then excellence and diligence aren't just good habits but acts of worship. Saint Josemaria's own life was a testimony to perseverance and wholehearted effort. He often wrote about transforming the prose of each day into a heroic poem of love by attending to our duties as best we can. This isn't about perfectionism or pride, but fidelity, a humble, earnest striving to use our gifts well. Through diligence, we cooperate with God's creative work, reflecting the divine image in us. Through excellence, our daily efforts, no matter how small, become occasions of grace. When discouragement arises or toil seems pointless, Saint Josemaria urges us to lift our gaze to Christ, who himself spent years at the carpenter's bench. Our sweat and setbacks offered with faith take on eternal value. Each spreadsheet, each lesson planned, each repaired faucet can echo with God's presence if we approach it with a spirit of love, joy, and self-giving. When we do, our workplaces and homes begin to radiate hope, pointing others, quietly, powerfully, toward the transforming love of Jesus. How to stay close to Jesus in a busy schedule. We live in a world that glorifies busyness, overflowing inboxes, back-to-back meetings, endless errands. Yet, Saint Josemaria Escriva invites us to see these interruptions not as obstacles to holiness, but as opportunities to encounter Jesus right where we are. He reminds us that sanctity isn't confined to church walls or quiet retreats. It can be forged in the everyday rush. Staying close to Christ in the midst of a hectic routine doesn't demand adding burdens to our day, but rather a renewed perspective. It's about drawing God into what we're already doing. Here are a few ways inspired by Saint Josemaria's wisdom. Begin with morning prayer. Before checking the news or jumping into work, start with a simple offering. Lord, I give you this day. Ask Jesus to walk with you through every meeting, every challenge, every conversation. Sanctify small tasks. Whether it's responding to emails, preparing meals, or commuting, offer each task to God. Make the sign of the cross, even quietly in your heart as you begin. Remember, Great holiness consists in carrying out the little duties of each moment, Saint Josemaria said. Practice the presence of God. Place a holy card, crucifix, or small sacramental on your desk or dashboard. Let it be a visible reminder that Christ is near, even in routine or stressful moments. Ask for help. When work feels overwhelming, turn to Jesus with a simple, honest prayer. Lord, help me. Saint Josemaria often spoke of transforming frustration or fatigue into prayer, making our struggles a part of our spiritual life. Pause for gratitude. Take brief moments throughout your day to thank God. After a good meeting, a kind word from a colleague, or a quiet second between chores. Gratitude opens our eyes to God's presence in what seems ordinary. Shop for Saint Josemaria Escriva items in our shop. Saint Josemaria shows us that holiness is possible in every schedule. Jesus is not waiting outside the office or school. He is with us, ready to sanctify even our busiest hours. The importance of morning offering in daily work. Saint Josemaria Escriva believed deeply in the power of intention, especially the kind we set at the very start of our day. For him, the morning offering wasn't just a pious habit. It was the spark that transformed ordinary routines into a living prayer, connecting the hustle and quiet moments alike to Christ's redemptive love. When we wake and consciously offer our day to God, our work, joys, annoyances, and even our fatigue, we open a space for grace to enter everything we do. Saint Josemaria would often say, everything can be prayer. By setting the tone at dawn, we remind ourselves that our spreadsheets, laundry, commutes, or difficult meetings are no less an arena for holiness than the altar itself. The morning offering isn't complicated. It can be as simple as pausing at your bedside, raising your heart, and saying, Jesus, all that I do and endure today I give to you. In that moment, we entrust our day, with all its unknowns, to God's providence. We become co-workers with Christ, not just in church or when we feel inspired, but in the spaces and hours that feel most routine. Saint Josemaria called us to sanctify our work by starting with this daily surrender. This simple act draws a direct line from the first alarm to every little task that follows. It turns the day's first breath into a humble but bold act of love, a choice to let Jesus be present in our efforts, our struggles, and our small victories. In offering each day this way, we become witnesses to hope. Even when no one notices our sacrifices or our hands phone in the work God sees. And as St. Paul reminds us, whatever you do, work at it with all your heart, as working for the Lord.
It's your journey, but we won't make the trip alone, 'cause we know God will lead us home. It's our journey.